We've got a major opportunity this week. This week, we have the opportunity to transform limitations in our consciousness and in our lives, to go beyond our fears, to move past our worries and into a place and a consciousness of true immortality and true infiniteness. The Torah this week discusses a number of significant events. One of the better known in this portion of Chukat is the story of the red heifer, which is effectively a red cow that was free of any impurities, was totally pure. And the Israelites were instructed to actually burn this red heifer and use its ashes in combination with a couple of other materials from a tree, from a bush, combine it with water. And that solution was administered by a high priest to somebody who had fallen to impurities in their life, somebody who had come into contact with death in their life. And what we understand Kabbalistically is that when the texts speak literally of death, the actual underlying meaning is a loss of consciousness, a loss of awareness, a loss of connection to the endless light, and instead a falling to the ego or to the negative side, effectively a falling to limitations, the inability to see and experience the infiniteness of the light of the Creator which is with us and surrounds us constantly. It's our work and our responsibility to put in the effort and do the work to connect to it. But so this is the literal story, and there's many deep secrets about the concept of the red heifer. It's said that even some very high and powerful sages, like King Solomon, for example, couldn't actually decipher the true meaning of the red heifer in the story as it's told in the Torah. I mean, for instance, practically speaking, in our day and age, the concept of a red cow and fully pure and turning it into ashes, it's not even possible in our world. The red cows are not with us, right? So what's the underlying essence and energy in this story and that underlies this week holistically? And how does it apply in our lives? It's important to understand that in our world, the world of what's called the Kav, or the world where, as we've talked about in past sessions here, where there is part illusion, right? This physical world we come to know as, when we're looking at and examining only the limited physical world, we come to understand that as the illusionary world, right? The world which can just be seen by the five senses or understood by the five senses. We call it the illusionary world because there's a whole supernal spiritual realm that is available for us to connect to at a soul level consciously that we can't see or touch. It's just the conscious connection that we can make. And we come to understand that that supernal realm, the spiritual realm, is actually closer to 90% of the reality, whereas the physical realm, which is governed by the body and governed by the ego, is closer to only 10% of the reality. So that's why when we refer to the physical world as the illusionary world, what we really mean is it's only a very small part of the truth, a small part of the story. Look, in the physical world, we can really only experience with our senses, for the most part, what's in front of us. So a challenge comes to us, it's very hard to see into the future and to see the purpose of this challenge and to see how this can unfold, especially if it's something serious, into something good, into something meaningful, into something purposeful. But the truth is, when we step back and we consciously connect to the whole picture, the supernal world, the light, the tree of life consciousness, which is continuity, which is truth, we can actually connect to that realm of continuity and experience the goodness in all situations and the truth, right? But in our world, in the physical realm and in our day-to-day experience, excuse me, there are two forces which are required to be activated simultaneously. And if we desire to come closer to fulfilling our purpose in this world, which if we're listening to this podcast or watching this at this time, it's likely that there is a desire to get closer to understanding why we're here, fulfilling our purpose. We need to activate proactively and see a corresponding increase in the strength of both of these forces as we give more, share more, emit more light, reveal more light in our world. What are those two forces? On the one hand, it's actually desire, right? And it starts with the innate physical, even egoistic human desire. I want more. I want to reveal more light. I want to give more. I want to love more. I want to create more. I want to earn more. I want to share more. This is the energy of desire. And if we're on a path of wanting to connect to the light of the Creator, wanting to experience more goodness, wanting to reveal the reason why we are here, why our soul is here in this body at this moment right now, it is our spiritual work, which Kabbalistically defines very differently, in fact, than some Eastern philosophies in this regard. Kabbalah is all about engaging and growing our desire, our innate desire, constantly and consistently. So desire is force number one. However, desire, from a purely egoistic point of view, from a purely physical point of view, say, I want more money, or I want a bigger house. Unfortunately, that desire, left unchecked or left unelevated, can actually not bring us lasting light. And this is the paradox. This is the second force. So as we increase that initial desire, which can start physically, which can start egoistically, how do we elevate that desire? We have to proactively inject a diametrically opposing energy or opposing force, the second force that we're referring to, which is known as restriction, or in the Kabbalistic text, sometimes referred to as the masach, or the curtain. But let's call it restriction. So on the one hand, We have this desire for more. And our work day in and day out is to continue to nurture that desire, to continue that, to grow that desire for more. However, as the fulfillment begins to come to us, if it's a desire for money, as the deal is about to close, as the money is about to be sent to the bank account, how do we ensure that that initial desire, that great desire for more money, can be elevated? We have to inject restriction into it at the point that the impact is about to occur. So as the deal's about to close, as the wire is about to be sent, what does restriction look like? I don't want it. But moreover, I don't want it for me alone. I don't want it because I want to look at my bank account and see a bigger number tomorrow and talk to people about how I now have more money in the bank. I don't want it because it makes me now feel more powerful and more important. That's ego. That's padding the ego. To the extent that our desire satiates the ego, light cannot persist. Light cannot be immortal. It cannot be infinite from that receiving. So this is why that second force of desire, the bounce back, is so critical. And by saying I don't want it, we're saying I don't want it to the extent that it satiates the ego, to the extent that it's there to satiate my physicality. By doing that, we elevate that desire into a desire to receive for the sake of sharing, where the receiving of that beneficence, of that light, of the thing that we established a desire for, the physical receiving of it is now elevated, because the purpose of the receiving is for the sake of sharing, for the sake of bringing about further elevation, for the sake of bringing and revealing more light in the world. So that money now can be received for the purpose of giving more charity. That money can be received for the purpose of hiring more people at your company and generating more livelihood for your employees. The purpose of that receiving can be for investing further in growing the business, in giving to the world, in creating products that the world can benefit for. You can feel the difference in how the initial desire can start in this very physical frame, but then as we restrict it with equal force to the original desire, and that restriction must be of equal force to the desire in order to establish a proper, complete restriction that reveals lasting light from the thing that we want. To that extent, we can begin to taste and experience our next level that is true. A higher level of immortality, a higher level of infiniteness. So this is very difficult work. Let's look at another example. Let's look at an example where we have a legitimate fear. Say we have a legitimate fear of public speaking. Okay? At the same time, we have a desire to speak. We have a desire to share. We have a desire to reveal light. We have a desire to have our voice be heard, to bring people together, to share wisdom, to share light, to share concepts that you have established credibility in and want to share, want to give. However, there's a fear in the way. There's a limitation in the way. And that fear is a complete anxiety and fear around public speaking. So even though you have the desire, there's something blocking. There's something blocking. So restriction in this case can be overcoming that fear. physically pushing through the inclination to say, oh, even though I have the desire to share and to speak, I'm just not going to do it because I have this fear of public speaking and I just can't do it. How much of that do we all have in our lives? If we're being honest, there's a tremendous amount. And this is another example of restriction. So to the extent that we have that fear is the extent that we can activate restriction, push through that fear. And by pushing through something that's hard for us, that's fearful, where we have worry around it, this is revealing so much light. So much light. Right? So where are we worried in our lives? What's the worry that's gnawing at us? What's the fear that's keeping us in place at this moment? What is the thing that's preventing us, honestly, from taking that next step in our career, in our business? What is the thing in the way of love, of that relationship which we know we want? This is the week to identify that. This is the week that identification, that insight, that clarity may come to us, may become available. And like the red heifer, like the story from the portion of this week, we have a particular strength in this week available energetically that can assist us in activating the restriction, particularly around the things that we're fearful of. Or activating the restriction when it's difficult to. The money is coming to us. The deal is closed. The wire is on the way. How can I reasonably say, no, I don't want it right now? I'm already thinking about how to spend it. I literally cannot get up on that stage. I can't walk towards the stage, even though I have something to say that's worthwhile, that can bring people together, that can bring the consciousness, the energy up in a room. I cannot walk towards that stage because my legs will fumble beneath me and I won't be able to do it. In this week, we're given a gift. And that gift is a connection to this energy of certainty beyond logic that somehow helps us power through and access the restriction necessary to overcome our limitations, to move past our limits, our impurities, and to step into that next level of immortality and infiniteness. What's so interesting about the story of the red heifer, looking at it Kabbalistically and studying it from our teachers, the most interesting thing is the story doesn't apply to today, and nobody can quite pinpoint or understand how the ashes of this red cow, when mixed with water and the tree and the bush, could actually heal anybody. How could it be? Nobody can understand that. It's not explained anywhere. And so this Kabbalistically represents the fact that our healing energetically this week, our ability to overcome our own impurities and limitations, our ability to face our fears, our ability to confront our worries, our ability to restrict and say no when our ego is so reliant upon this happening. And even the mere act of saying, no, I don't want it, even if you believe that it still may come, it's something we can't even fathom. This is what's available to us this week. It's the glue. It's the glue. It's that force. It's an invisible force that enables us to have our level of restriction rise to the level of corresponding desire. And that glue we refer to as certainty beyond logic, as our teachers explain. Certainty beyond logic. It is in this week the injectable mechanism that is available to us energetically that enables us to climb higher up the ladder and step forward into revealing the true purpose of our soul. So we'll see fears come up, worries come up this week. We'll see limitations. It's a good sign if we're connecting to where we're blocked, where we're limited, if we're starting to see that clearly in this week. But the gift to us is a divine energy that is available here for us to access a level of certainty beyond logic that even though I have no clue how I could ever overcome this fear of public speaking, given how debilitating it is, how physically debilitating, I can't even stand, right? Can't even stand. My legs are so weak as I step towards that stage. This week we have that power in these situations that make no sense to actually confront them, step into them, and overcome them, transforming our limitations into immortality, into a level of light and connection to light that we cannot even begin to fathom. It's available to us in this week. I look forward to seeing you next week.